So I've been talking about is knowledge enough, and especially in the context of able learners. And my kind of take on it is no, it's not enough, because we're not just inputting knowledge into a child's brain and getting them to memorize it and bring it out later, because there's something else going on there, which is that the child is staring at us, in that they're looking ahead and they are thinking about what you're saying. So there's a subjective view. So if I say something like Shakespeare, this is his best play, or this is the best character, then of course they are starting to critique it, or to think about it, or to be bored by it, or whatever. So there's a subjective element. So my beginning point is, where is thought? Because the thought that I'm trying to input into the child obviously becomes something as it goes in. It doesn't go in the way that I necessarily intended. Even if they memorize it, even if they get to the point of repeating what I said, it's not the same, because their actual critical thinking is not being engaged. So the next thing that comes from that is, well, if they have a conscious awareness of what I'm saying, that the conscious awareness of what I'm saying is altering the thought itself, then the knowledge that they're learning is altered by their thinking of it. So I use the words, knowledge is imbued by our way of knowing it. Knowledge is imbued by our way of knowing it. So these critical faculties are something which come into play. Now, I think schools should take that on board and have a culture of analysis, a culture of thinking, a culture of arguing, a culture of debating, a culture of dialectic, if you like. That we look at things and we say, well, we're here apparently to learn what the best is, but is it the best? And that's one of the questions I ask quite a lot. So if you want to give it a title, I suppose, instead of teaching what the best is, you teach them what the best might be. And their way into it is to come into that conversation about what the best might be. Well, I think this, I think that. And to build up a critical battery of, like, if you like, of arguments for and against something, and for something else and against something else. And to come to some sort of awareness of why they perhaps think what they do, perhaps change their mind, perhaps empathise with other people around them, and become good critical thinkers. Now, this helps particularly in the line of IQ, if you like, because if we look at IQ over the years, and particularly since 1950, IQ has, the last 2 generations or so, has gone up by about, on average, 18 points in this country and other countries in the Western world. Now, that means pretty much that if you were, and if we take it back even further, if we go back even further, someone from 1910 came into a room of a school, average schoolroom in our country, and sat there, they would be struggling, because they, educationally, they wouldn't be able to keep up. So what do we do with that information? Well, if you look at IQ over time, actually, it's, and you break it down into its component areas, it's not knowledge and information that's keeping them back. It's the modern world around us, which has brought more things for us to think about. Television, etc., has brought drama to us, and we're thinking about character, we're thinking about choices, we're thinking about comparison, we're thinking about shapes and how they move. So certain parts of the IQ test we're getting better at, but it's not on information, it's not on knowledge, it's other things. And basically, Steven Pinker talks about that, the analytical skills, putting one thing against something else, taking it apart, looking at it, or what is called by Mr. Flynn, of the Flynn effect fame, is called scientific spectacles. So we put on our scientific spectacles to look at this world, and that's what's making the difference in IQ. So someone coming from the past and sitting with us wouldn't look that completely different, but it might be when we start looking and comparing different things that things start to become more difficult. So what I'm saying is that should be part of the curriculum, that we start to really engender a culture of argument and debate and thinking and dialectic. Now that builds into the culture idea, that a culture of a school makes a huge difference. And the idea I bring in then is, well, why was Athens a place that suddenly came together? Was it just a lot of geniuses sitting around, suddenly thinking, wow, yes? Or was it Athens itself that helped it happen? And the Renaissance, well, historical moment, allowing various things to happen and putting money into the arts, that the arts flourish. So it's the culture around something that makes the difference. Cilla Black and Ringo come to our notice because of Liverpool, because of perhaps the Docs there bringing in music from America, and Lonnie Donegan, the Irish influence on it, and the way that music flourished in Liverpool at that time. So a school can be a place of flourishing, intellectual flourishing, that raises all ships, if you like, that happen to be around that harbour at the time. But most of that is done through analysis, done through thinking. It's not just knowledge itself, it's what you do with it. It's not just the best, it's bringing in what the best might be as the question to build your curriculum around.